Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments and questions live. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
Hope you're all doing awesome. We've had an amazing day. Amazing day. We had the wonderful, just beautiful Adam Levy here. Come on down. Blessing us with his incredible musical guitar playing. Yeah, so that's been great. Yeah, I'm very inspired, I gotta say, Mick.
Yeah.
Very inspired.
Yeah.
In other news, Mick had a big birthday last week.
Happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday.
me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me, says Rosie. Yeah, I get my cuddle. Yeah. Hello everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show viewers, comments and questions, which I think Dan has probably already said. Dan here, Mick here, Rosie here, hello. What?
I'm just doing the homework.
Nice. How are we all? Are we live? Better check. I know, Rosie, I know you want to sit here, but maybe you can go and sit on Uncle Dan's lap, because you'd rather be there anyway. I know, do not start barking, otherwise you're out here. Got it?
Rosie, you come here. Come on. Don't bark at me, please. Come on. Rosie, it's coming. Brace yourselves.
She's bored.
Brace yourselves. It's coming.
She's bored.
Rosie,
bless her.
you can either come up here or...
Greetings from Forest Grove, Oregon, says Tim Chalmers. Blue sky and sunshine. Nice. We've got our first sunshine here for a couple of weeks.
years.
And it really does feel good. Mark Kember, hello. Made it live for a change. Hi, Mark. Daniel Thornton, good morning from sunny Seattle. In Washington State, USA. BV, thank you, BV, for moderating as always and helping us out and just being generally awesome. Thank you so much. We should all give a collective thanks to BV for the sterling work. Matt McGrath, unfortunately, is home from work sick.
Oh, no.
So I get to enjoy it live for once. Well, that's good, Matt.
Every cloud.
Yeah. Andrew Jones, good evening from the sunny Midlands. Hello, Andrew. Ready to relax and chill with TPS for a couple of hours. Hoping to learn some more. Well,
we guarantee nothing.
Yes. No guarantees.
No.
However, before we say any more hellos, let's just get straight to a question, shall we, Dan?
Let's do it.
From Thomas Killery, whose YouTube name is Dewey Finn. And Thomas had one of the now mythical, long lost and much searched for super chat questions from 2 weeks ago, which we shall answer, Thomas, because you've gone to the trouble of emailing in. Rosie, what are you eating?
Memory stick.
Memory stick, yeah. A bit of Velcro, Daddy. Thomas says, he says, love your live show every week. How would you describe the difference between the breakup characteristics of a deluxe reverb versus a super reverb? Ooh. Would you use the same pedal board with either amp at a gig? Second question, yes.
Yeah. The breakup in the super reverb, you're at a much higher sound pressure level.
Rosie, get out there. Sorry, she's fiddling around with the power plugs, which is never a good idea.
No.
Around the back of the rack. Dog safety notwithstanding, if it all goes off, that would be annoying.
But
Go on, get lost.
They're in the same ballpark frequency-wise.
Yeah.
Mm.
There is an extra. It's not the same circuit, right? But they're very familiarly related. There is an extra control on the super, the middle control.
Yeah.
Which is kind of set in the deluxe and depends how you have the bass and treble set. And as Dan rightly says, the point at which it breaks up is much louder, and the nature of the power tube breakup is much louder. And therefore, I think it sounds a bit harsher.
Right.
But a big part of that is the speakers. So in a classic super reverb, you've got 4 10-inch Alnico speakers. And in a classic deluxe reverb, you've got a 12-inch ceramic speaker usually. And the way those speakers sound is quite different under breakup. I ended up selling our super reverb. This is what Rosie does when she's got an itchy ear. Don't worry, it's not an ear infection. And
hey, darling, you gonna come say hi?
The next thing we were going to do with the super reverb is change out the speakers, because it does I found the characteristic of the treble breakup a little bit harsh, and the bright switch makes a huge difference with that. And of course you don't get the bright switch in a deluxe reverb either. But anyway, just to finish that off, yeah, they do break up in a similar way. When they're both cranked, they both kind of sound like the Marshall you wish you always had.
Yeah.
And people never believe that until they hear it with their own ears, especially like with a Les Paul into either of those amps cranked. It's just glorious. But the super is
there's
pain loud.
Yeah. You got to be in a proper venue.
Yeah.
Or loads and loads of bodies in the room to soak up the sound of a cranked super. But that deluxe, man, that put that anywhere. Hey, you coming up? No.
Yeah.
Come on.
Larry does not live here. Says that's the same sound I make when I scratch my itchy ear. Alejandro Rubio is on from Chile. Hi, Alejandro.
Hey, Alejandro.
And we can't answer this, Yam Buccaneers, but we'll ask the question anyway, and you can discuss it in the comments all the way through. Yam Buccaneer says, "Hi Dan and Mick, what do you think it is that makes a vintage guitar so much nicer to play than a brand new guitar?"
We were having this conversation today.
I have a 93 American Standard Strat I've had since new, and it's fantastic. Yeah, because you've got 30 years playing on it, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know. We were discussing it with Adam Levy, who we had here today as a guest, show coming in a couple of weeks. And yeah, we were going through a bunch of guitars, and just with the collective experience of all three of us going, we just still don't get it.
Yeah.
Still don't get it. But there we are.
If anyone out there is in any doubt, you've only got to go and try a few, and it's not impossible to do.
It's not for everyone though. That's the other thing.
No, it's not for everyone. But I agree. I'm going
to turn the super chats off, folks, because I think we probably have enough.
My son, who's 17, he's in college at the moment, and he's...
What are they teaching him, Dan?
What
are they teaching that boy?
He's doing music performance.
Are they teaching him anything worth knowing, right. Dan?
Who knows? Gets him out of the house. That'll do. But he has a band at college, and they had a rehearsal yesterday at our house. And his guitar player, and really, lovely young kid, got a PRS and a little Marshall DSP thing, and he's great young guitar player, loves it, playing all the time. And he came downstairs, and I sat in the lounge room with the SG, and he's like, "Oh, that's nice. I said, have a play." And no idea about vintage guitars or anything.
Yeah.
And he just picks it up, and he's like, he goes, "Oh, it's louder than my guitar acoustically," and like instantly, and he's like, "Ooh," and he starts playing. It's like, "Ooh." It's you're not making this stuff up. It's definitely a thing.
It is definitely a thing. Jean-Philippe Ibanez, or Ibanez. Jean-Philippe Ibanez is on from France, and Chris Smith is on from Folsom, California. I hear the train coming, rolling round the bend. I'm gonna go.
Love that.
Take the dog for a second.
Sure.
Come on, Liz.
So. Okay, so where are we at? Yes, BV, thanking everyone. I don't get the same super chat feed as Mick does. I basically chime in with ancillary comments. But let's see if... Here we go. Benjamin says, I played a 67 Jag and a 2016 Jag and couldn't tell the difference on that day at least. That's interesting. I mean, I played loads of Jags and picked up Johnny Marr's Jag and just went, ugh, it was a whole other world.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're still guitars. They're still individual
Yeah.
things, and they're not all amazing.
You might love this one and
Absolutely.
and that one might speak to you. Some people really dislike vintage guitars because they like the new feeling of new guitars, and that's all, it's all good, isn't it? Let's be honest. Sorry, I'm starting to overheat. It's all good, isn't it?
All good. Yeah. Scott Gaylor says, "Gentlemen of the Ends, good afternoon." That's very good, Scott. I like that a lot. Elliot Green says, "I think part of it is a lot more likely for a good vintage guitar to be looked after and still around
Interesting.
than a bad vintage guitar. So they kind of QC themselves over time." That's very interesting.
Yeah.
LA3 Music says, "Hello, fellows. Checking in from Sweet Home, Chicago."
Oh,
Apparently,
hello.
Chicago's been voted the most livable city in America.
Well,
The sausage king of Chicago.
yes, good. All right. Well, let's just stampede, Daniel, to the Super Chai this evening. I've turned them off, so we'll start working through them, and do all of that.
Aussie Pharaoh wants to know what the red numbers in the background. I'm going to get a massive
I'll turn it
thing.
off.
That's the dB meter. It's mix level, and he hits 100. He punches me. It says how close he's getting to.
It's there so that when we do regular shows, people can get an idea of how loud it is. But it's actually, I do wonder if it's not very helpful, because certain transients at certain frequencies will make it hit big numbers, and other frequencies won't make it hit big numbers when it's actually colossally loud. So it's a constant, I guess.
Yep.
We could say is the best thing we could say.
I heard that song today on the radio.
It's a really sad song.
It's a really sad song, but what an amazing song.
Yeah. So how do you count it? So it's on the offbeat. Yeah, okay. It's Lonely Boy by Bill Smith.
Yeah.
Who's it by?
It's, there's some weird chords in there.
Andrew Gold, who also did Thank You for Being a Friend. Is that him? Alex is in first this week with a very generous super chat, Alex, and a very generous gesture as well. Square Wave Symphonies. We met Alex at the Brothers Landreth gig, or I met Alex at the Brothers Landreth gig for the first time, and it was lovely, Alex. He says, "Good evening, Legends. No question, just wanted to say happy belated birthday, Mick."
Yay!
Thank you, sir. I hope you had a great day. I really did. I had a surreal few days, in fact. P.S. Please gift my questions to one of the lovely persons in the chat, which we will do. And that question shall be from Rick Appleby. Oh no, it's not a question. Sorry, Rick. He says he's played a lovely 64 Cherry Ready S335. It felt like it was playing itself. Right, Chris Saint-Amour. Chanson d'amour.
La 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 la.
Rat-tat-tat-tat.
Ah,
Yeah. Sound of a
Okay.
machine gun, I always thought that. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Chris Saint-Amour, he says, I'm using a 66 Twin in a stereo rig, but the headroom makes it overpower my Tone King Gremlin when using certain pedals like fuzzes. Any suggestions to help tame the beast?
yeah, get another twin.
This is exactly the problem our dear chum Ainsley Lister has in his rig. So we'll tell you what Ainsley does. Ainsley's got his Rift signature amp, fairly well cranked, so when he turns the guitar up, it goes into overdrive. His wet amp is a Reverb reissue, which has it's set so that it has considerably more headroom. So like you say, what happens is, here's the Rift amp with not much headroom left. Here's the Reverb with endless headroom left. So when you step on your fuzz or overdrive or whatever it is, this happens. The Rift goes up by that much and just gets more distorted, and the Reverb goes up that much and gets unfeasibly loud. So what he does is he runs an additional overdrive pedal in front of the Reverb. So guitar, overdrive pedals, split. One side goes off to the Rift, the other side goes to the Reverb with the wet pedals in the way, for example, his delay and his harmonious monk. What he'll do is put another overdrive only to the Reverb so that when you hit it harder, it overdrives and then soaks up some of that headroom that the Reverb now doesn't have, because, well, the Reverb still has the headroom, but it's being hit with an overdriven signal. So an extra overdrive pedal before the high headroom twin would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, then you've got to pick then you have to pick a pedal that is going to enhance the twin and not kill it. You know, not make it sound like a Marshall or something you don't want it to sound like. So you want it to be some sort of black panel sounding overdrive, I would have thought. You could think about an attenuator, run the twin on an attenuator so that it's going to, so you can push it a bit harder, and that headroom will diminish a bit. There will be a new show on attenuators coming up, because Palmer have just come out with a really interesting new one.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there's also the brown box, which we still haven't got to. So yeah.
Message here from George Beer. He says, "Hi guys, I'm George. I'm 10, and I'm your biggest fans." Well, George,
thank you, George.
You're 10. I'm assuming you're going to be about that big. I mean, we've met some fans, and they're massive.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether you're the biggest fan.
Yeah, we're not so sure about that.
Thank you, George.
Thanks for being with us, George.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
And we're glad you're into guitar and making loud noises with them. So good for you, buddy.
Yeah. So this is interesting. We've got Daniel R says Andrew Gold was in the Linda Ronstadt's band.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day. I saw him play Lonely Boy in '76. And who else was in Linda Ronstadt's band?
Fat dude, slide guitar.
Yep, him too. The Eagles.
Oh, right.
The Eagles were her band.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
She could pick them.
Lowell George, I was thinking. I don't know if he was or not. Soldier on Music says, Mick, I've just got a classic Reverb signature 50. What are your go-to settings, and specifically how and when do you use the mid and bright switches? Also, loving the cathode bias setting. Have you had a chance to check out a 50 watt? Mine is a 100 watt one, 150, so it doesn't have the cathode bias setting. However, my TS1 does have the cathode bias setting. And at lower volumes, I prefer it. It sounds a little more urgent.
Oh, interesting.
And it's got a bit more life to it, a bit more harmonics. As you get loud, I prefer it in the fixed bias setting because it has more headroom. But yeah, it's a really cool thing for getting the thing happening at lower volume. Haven't heard it in a CRS. I'll show you how I set my classic Reverb signature amplifier.
Mick is walking off to grab his classic signature Reverb amplifier.
Like this.
There it is. Look at that. 'Tis a thing of beauty. It's still, it's the one to beat, that amp.
If we're at a competition, Dan.
We're at a competition. Life is a competition, my friend.
I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, so I'll tell you. Interestingly, in the same way that one would add loads of sauce to their food before they realised how good food tastes, I've run most of the switches on. So the bright switch on, the mid switch on. I use it in the EQ2, or whichever of the EQ settings is the louder one. The deep switch I have out. I don't like that in.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know why. The gain structure, I run it in the classic 2-rock setting, which is the mid-gain structure. And the only thing I would ever foot switch in and out is the bypass, which drops the tone stack out. And I do love the sound of it in the bypass mode. Matt Schofield, who is the classic Reverb signature user, all the switches off, all of them. No bright, no mid, no nothing. And he basically, give or take, sets all the controls to about 2 o'clock. Bit less bass, bit less mid. And it's so unbelievably open and loud at that point.
Yeah.
It just sounds completely magic. But I like all the, you know, all the extra bits.
Mm-hmm.
But more recently, I've been experimenting with running it louder and having the mid out. Because the mid does give it a really significant mid-range push. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long I've had this now, maybe 5 years.
Mm.
And I still learn about it all the time.
I think that is quite indicative of responsive dynamic amplifiers.
Yeah.
Because the more stuff you plug into it, the more you understand how they react to different things.
Yeah. But just in case you couldn't see any of those settings, no setting is below 10 o'clock or past 2 o'clock. And I just find that everything I need is basically within that. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helps. But yeah, I love this amp so much, and I continue to learn. The only thing, the one slight, it's not even a complaint. The observation I have is that since I've learned about it, I have discovered that it really does sound significantly better when it's loud.
Yeah.
Like all amps, they've got a place. We were using the dear old Deluxe Reverb today with Adam Levy. And as we were setting up, well, I was saying, listen to this. 1, 2, 3, nah, 4, meh. 4.5, it just goes, wah. It just comes alive. And I don't know why that is. I have no idea. It's an audible thing. If you were in the room, you would go, oh my God, there it is. And for better or worse, all amps are the same. Mm-hmm. They have a point where they want to work. And unfortunately, for me at this point in my life, where this wants to work is too loud.
Right.
So yeah, that's a bridge for another day.
But what a bridge.
Yeah.
It's the Sen of tone.
It's so good. It's such a great amp. But yeah, attenuator, no, doesn't sound as good. It's that sound pressure level that is what makes the tone. Anyway, congratulations. It's a really serious instrument, and I hope you get to grips with it. It's taken me a long time. Dylan Croft. Hi, Dylan.
Hey, Dylan.
7 days ago, I got my first TPS t-shirt. Play loud. 21 days ago, I got a 5-year-old Aussie Shepherd named Baxter.
Ah.
Good for you. He never gave me kisses until I wore the shirt. Is this coincidence or something more?
Brilliant.
Well, whoever taught him to read did a good job.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Just checking. Yes, for those of you asking why there are no super chats, there are super chats. We've had to turn them off because we have too many to get through. So
we've had a long day already. Not that we don't always have long days, but having Adam here was so good. But we'll need to leave on time, ish.
Yeah, we do. Jamie Brown said he's just got home after losing my best friend of 12 years. Best dog I ever had.
Oh, I can't.
But it was time for the Rainbow Bridge. Glad TPS is on to help. Jamie.
Oh, mate.
We feel you, man. And whatever good vibes we can possibly send to you at this time, feel them coming.
Yeah. Please, buddy.
Yeah. No,
just
can't even think about it. You got to think about the good times about the life you gave them and the
Yeah.
life they gave you.
Yep.
And oh man, oh god, I can't.
Just
I can't.
no, can't do it.
Can't do it. Be well, buddy.
Yeah, mate. Thinking of you.
Iron Wolf 1776. Iron Wolf 1776. Hello from Boise, Idaho.
Boise.
Hello to Boise, Idaho. Where we have all 4 seasons and an earthquake on the same day. Oh man.
It's almost Melbourne.
Have you tried one of the recent Epiphone Rivieras? I play it more than my Fenders or Gibsons. Haven't, but we've played many Epiphones, like the Casino I recently sold, which was just a fantastic guitar.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. I still haven't played one of the USA ones.
Okay.
But yeah, why not? Great guitar.
We had Colin on
Hello,
Experience Day. Hello, Colin. And he brought in his old Casino, that blue thing. And it's like, don't just take it away. Don't bring it back. Don't send pictures of it. It's like, it's that thing. Once you've played it, once I played the 65 and we did the show, like no limit show, I never stopped thinking about that guitar, not for a day.
Yeah.
And I had to have it. And it's like, Colin brings that thing in. I'm like, take it away.
I don't want to play
please.
it. Yeah. There's something about semi-hollow guitars as well that's
Yeah.
really addictive once you get into them. Again, talk about Adam Levy here today. He had a Collings I-30 and the Deluxe Reverb is just at that level where if he holds a note, it goes into feedback. Really lovely acoustic, harmonic, supportive and complementary feedback rather than something ugly and something that you don't want. And it's such an expressive place to be because you can just let the guitar do a bit more work.
Yeah.
And before you get to the actual harmonic feedback, i.e. it actually feeding back, what is happening is the resonances of the notes of the guitar and what's coming out the speaker do that in a lesser way. So it's always interacting. It's just an amazing thing. And sorry, the point being that is much easier to achieve on a semi-hollow guitar than it is on a solid body guitar at semi-reasonable volumes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It does happen on a solid body guitar, but you've got to be loud.
Paul Matilovich, g'day mate. He says, it may be unfortunate, but if the boys ever end up in purgatory, it'll be a live chat where the super chats can't be shut off.
DCK Strat 90 says, what effector du jour are we getting this week? I think tomorrow might be the Crowther Audio Hot Cake and Marcus Reeves's Hot Take. I think done by his truly. There might be that one. There is, what else is coming up? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, we've shot a bunch and much fun they are too. Okay, moving right along. Justin Baylog, hi Justin. He says, I was lucky enough to see Rhett Schull play live. And I've joined the Move to Tears Music Club. You are not alone, Dan.
There you go.
Rhett is a legend. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Looking forward to seeing you, Justin. Elliot Green, hi Elliot. He says, good evening. I'm waiting on my wrought iron effects Numeronian to be finished and delivered. Any plans for another optical phaser vibe show soon so I know what to do with it? Hope you had a great birthday, Mick. I did. Thank you, Elliot. We did a vibe show relatively recently when the Thorpe ER2 came out. So there won't be one imminently, but maybe there'll be one in a while. The thing to do with vibes, if that's what it is to just, first off, get the speed you want. And if it's got the ability to have it on a treadle, so much the better. So you can go slow, fast if you want. That was the really cool thing about the old Rotor Vibe. It was all in one. And then it's about getting the throb where you want it. Because some Univibe types kind of just do one throb. But the really cool thing is you want it to go
like a heartbeat.
yeah. And some pedals allow you to set the offset of that, and some it's set. And that's the magic place. And then just be careful about the bass frequencies, because what happens is one of those throbs will really, really take over, and that can be glorious or annoying. So, but just enjoy it. It's such a great sound. And if you have the facility to try it wet dry as well, do that, Elliot, because it's it's just magic. It's magic. I always fight between harmonic tremolo, vibe, and rotary speaker.
I don't fight at all. The harmonic trem buries all of them.
That's your favourite.
Absolutely,
But
because
if
you can
you
hear
wanna-
the mix. It has mid range in it.
But if you want to do Jimmy, you have to have a vibe.
Yeah, absolutely, and
And
that
if you
makes
want,
it easy for me.
and if you want to do Davy G, you've got to have a rotary speaker.
No,
You do it with a phaser.
I do it with a monk.
Yeah,
Wet dry.
yeah.
It does
I don't know.
because it does the mismatch thing.
Yeah.
And look, there's someone we're going to have on the show soon
Mhm.
who replaced a very well loved rotary speaker thing with a monk.
Oh, did he? I did not know that.
Said, I don't need that anymore.
Well, we did give him the monk, right?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, good. Enjoy that. Wrought iron effects Numeronian. Numenorian. That's a hard word to say. Enjoy that, Elliot. Jim B. Hello, Jim. He says, hey, M&D, my hot cake, presumably Crowther Audio hot cake, went into oscillation when bypassed, thumping at the speaker.
Oh.
I flipped the cream switch and it dropped out, but it sounds like a hyper-fast trem. Any ideas?
Yeah, it'll be maybe lead dress inside or switch. I think there's the relays on those ones, depending on which one you have. But something is obviously oscillating. Okay, quick question.
What can oscillate in that?
Well, if you've got the gain cranked.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Right. And you get this. The input can turn into an antenna. Had this fascinating thing happen. We're doing a rig for Paul Stacey, right? And this Dan Coggins was there and made this pedal that's based loosely based on an old MXR Distortion Plus. Anyway, sounded amazing. Put a battery in, closed it up, and then as soon as it got to a certain gain level, it was whistling and everything. Right? It's like, what? Open up the back off it, took it out, plugged it in, perfect. Put the back on, whistled. Opened it up again.
Okay.
And what it was, we noticed that when we opened it up, a little bit of cardboard fell out. And that cardboard was separating the battery from the foot switch's legs so that the battery was creating this loop so that when it turned off, it went wee.
Oh, wow.
But only at certain gain levels.
So we think it could be something physical then?
Yeah, quite possibly. Quite possibly. I will say that Paul Crowther has wonderful customer service. So if you have issues like that, get in touch with him and he'll get you sorted out. But see where it happens on your gain range.
There you go. Hopefully that will help. Tombstone says, hello from Chippenham, Leggins. Chips and ham.
Chips and ham.
Chips and ham.
Is that spelled like Chippenham Hamington?
Well, presumably you drive through it every day on your way home, don't you?
Right.
Or thereabouts. I hope that answered the question, Jim. We think it's probably something physical and you need to get it checked out by someone who knows. Do check with Paul Crowther, or at least with Crowther Audio. Joel Silber. Hi, Joel. He says, hey, Mick, I've been doing some very successful setup on my new used Strat. What's a string-on-string bend? Google can't tell me. I don't know if it's the correct term, but it's where you... let's do it on a guitar that's got a floating trem, if I've even got one of those around. I don't think I have. It's where you bend one string. So let's say our root note... Hang on.
La, ga, la, ga.
Sounds a bit sick. Let's say your... It's got coffee spilled on it as well, look at that. Let's say your root note is A. It isn't A, it's lower than A, but anyway. And then you bend another string. And then you bend another string. What you want is that string to stay in pitch, right? When you bend the string. Or you might also be doing 2 string bends at the same time. That's where you're bending the G string, bending up by a tone. You catch the B string underneath it, and it comes back a tone. That's an old Jerry Donahue trick. Okay?
Yeah.
And when you do those kind of bends, you need the other strings not to move. And if you've got a floating bridge guitar where the trem is set very lightly, what happens when you bend this string, I'm going to have to manually do it because I don't have any of my guitars set like this. This happens. So as you bend the string up, the tension increases and it pulls the trem flat. So if you want to do... If you want to get into all of that, what happens on the end of that is quite a harmonious chord. What you don't need at that point is this to be flat. So it's important to have the bridge set hard enough so that when you do that, and you know, country bends. Because if when you bend that G string up, when you bend that G string up, you don't want the E string to go flat. You need it to sound out in tune. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's why if you want to do that kind of thing, now there are clever people out there who have perfected a technique where when they bend the string up, their palm rests on the bridge without muting the strings to keep it in place.
Really?
That's steel guitar level skill,
Yeah.
that, and I can't do that, but some people can.
What was that? What was that bend down the end? No. Sorry, do it again. Yep.
So up on the would be an A.
Yep. Yeah, you got.
Open E.
You got.
Up a tone.
Up here. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
You're right. You're going here.
And then, sorry, we're not, the guitars aren't in tune.
Okay.
Yeah. For those of you who want to know that, so the 4th fret on the G string, up a tone, open E, and play whatever note that is on the B string.
D.
A D.
That's beautiful.
What's just that?
That's not.
I know it's not. Anyway.
It's lovely.
And then hopefully the comments section is full of just buy a Telecaster. And those are the decisions you make when you set your Strat vibrato up, whether you want that or you don't want that, or whether you don't care, or whether you can perfect a technique that enables you to hold the bridge in place. Because obviously if it is set hard against the body like that, or so tough that it won't move when you bend, then all of your little warbles and the Jeff Beckisms and stuff like that are much more hard to do, which is why you need 2 strats, one with a floaty, one with a fixie. And you need one in all the colours. Anyway.
Floaty versus fixie, there's a show.
Yeah. Oh, hello, floaty.
Oh, hello, fixie.
How are we doing? Is anything happening?
That's funny.
Yes. Mick and Dan to do dueling banjos.
Yep.
I think which we know.
Banjolales.
Yeah, we know which one Dan is. Good. Everything looks fine. Everything looks fine. Paul Matulovic. Hello, Paul.
G'day, mate.
Nice to hear from you, buddy. He says, greetings, leggies. There are pedals of legend that do their job just perfectly in every rig. Tube Screamer and such. For me, the Dispatchmaster by Earthquaker Devices is my contemporary example. What modernish pedal would be your pick? So a great pedal that just works in every rig.
CXM.
The Chase Bliss.
Yep.
Yeah, Reverb. Yeah, it is a magic thing.
Funnily enough, though, I may replace it with the Mercury X.
If you can, yeah, once you get your head around it.
Once I get my head around it.
Yeah.
Because all the CXM stuff is in there.
All the sounds are in there, yeah.
But the other stuff
Yeah.
is, I may require it. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it'll either be that or the CXM.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't do without the CXM sounds.
I think there are loads, Paul. I think, you know, there's a ton of delays that would fit that category, like Catlin Bread Bell Epoch Deluxe, or just the standard Bell Epoch. Most Echorecs, I think, work in pretty much any rig, as long as you can get the gain on the input right. Overdrive pedal is where it gets more difficult, but Kingsley Page, Tube Boost.
Kingsley Page. What an absolute classic.
Never heard it sound anything less than stellar in every rig.
Amazing.
Hudson Broadcast, I would say, you can tweak to use in pretty much every rig.
Yeah. I've got my KOT back on my board.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that for that low gain thing.
It's probably only the stuff that is very, very with extreme EQ settings that you can't change that might not sit right, but
that's new.
That new.
Sounds like a text alert on a phone.
It does. That sounds like a digital simulation of a dog barking.
It does. Maybe someone's backing up their van and they've got that as
the reverse thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dispatchmaster's really cool. We've got one out there, actually. We should maybe revisit that. A really nice delay plus, isn't it? It does a whole bunch of really cool things. Yeah, I think there's a lot of... The more people we hang out with, like Adam Levy, to talk about him again, but in that same breath we could put Tim Lurch, we could Jocelyn Gould, all these people who don't use pedals really, and we know it, right? We know it, but to see it just laid out like that, the tone is coming from them, and the vast array of tone they have is mind-boggling. All right, they can't do a univibe, but they don't really want to. And the point being, you can bend anything to make it work. Yeah, I think, if you've got something to say.
So Adam was playing today. Adam Levy, and he's doing this really beautiful. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, that's the sound off the Come Away With Me, the solo. And it's like, and that's how he's doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so him. It's so unmistakably him.
Yeah.
All those sounds are just him being in the moment with his...
I don't know if it made it onto the video, but one of his favourite players is Bill Frisell, right? One of all of our favourite players is Bill Frisell, and Bill had a sound for ages that was the DL4, the Line 6 DL4 delay. And I asked Adam, I said, is it the modulation in the delay, or is it Bill moving the neck? And I think the answer is it's a combination of both, and Adam moves the neck. And the number of YouTube comments we get going, why the hell are you shaking your guitar around like that? It doesn't make any difference. And yet here are all these amazing players using it for modulation in delays and chords and getting it in tune.
15th of May at Islington Assembly.
Okay.
Frisell Trio.
Let's go see
We've got
him.
to go to that.
Let's go see him. Anyway, sorry, just to say, Paul, I think most things can be bent to work in any way you want it to work. Yeah. Mikhail. Hello, Mikhail. Hello, guys. Wanted to ask, would you know if there are any good guitar finishers in the UK? I'm having 2 good Strats built for me, and I'm looking for someone who really knows what they are doing. Thanks. Yeah, there are a few people. Clive Brown, if you can get hold of him. Quite hard to do. I would say Dave Walsh at Eternal Guitars on the South Coast.
Mm.
Eternal Guitars, Dave Walsh. He refinished this gold Strat.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
That was the John Scofield version. Yeah, so, but yeah, there are many. I would maybe start there, but there are many, and Dan and I don't know them intimately, I'm afraid to say. But people like that live or die on reputation, business-wise.
Yeah.
So if they're busy, it's a good sign.
Who's the one that does the LEDs?
Sims Custom Shop. I don't know what's happening with Sims, Martin Sims.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Sims. There's Crimson Guitars, there's all kinds of people. Dave is where I would go, but that doesn't mean that other people aren't equally as fun. Is it loud enough? Just out of interest. I think YouTube might be making us quieter again.
Oh, they really don't like us.
I think it's something to do with the ones and noughts of streaming.
Mm.
Yeah. Rocky Sloan says, do you have a preference in string action for funk guitar? Higher.
Really high.
But then Corey Wong might disagree. And he's funkier than both of us put together.
Yeah. To see is a really light pick.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think the funk guys I liked had heavier strings. But so the heavier strings on a rhythm thing. It's a definite action to get it. You know, there's less fluff going on because this is so busy. You only really want to hear the. That's so cool.
I think Robert Eyeboy says, did the gold PRS P90 ever get resprayed with gold nitro? No. We're going to do it, Robert. And I had a date put in with Dave at Eternal Guitars. He got sick, I think. He had some flu or something. So we had to postpone it. And I haven't got round to redoing it. But we're going to finish that guitar in a vintage relic finish. All over and see what happens.
So that will be so interesting because you've never been one with that guitar.
The guitar itself is super resonant and it sounds great acoustically and it sounded good when I changed the pickups. But the feel of it and the finish has started milking. So it's like, okay, let's actually strip all that off, finish it in crazy light nitro and see what that does. whether it changes the sound or not is a moot point. I mean, I think it does personally, but whether it actually does and whether you could measure it, not sure. What it will fundamentally change is the feel of it. And that I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Stratman says, Ted Green chord chemistry, too tough or worth the struggle? So we were having this conversation today with Adam Levy, who is was a student of Ted's. I reckon Adam Levy and Tim Lurch need to get together and do a book called Unlocking Ted Green's Chord Chemistry, because that book is hard work.
The trouble is, right, have you ever read a book on astrophysics? Or
It's true.
colon
It's
surgery?
true. Yeah, no, you're
Or,
right.
how to repair an aneurysm. We're all looking for easy ways through this stuff, and it's not easy. That's just it. You have to learn it.
Yeah.
And we all, and by we, I'm talking about myself again.
I agree.
I want to know how to do it, but the only way you're ever going to know how to do it is to spend years doing it.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut.
No, there isn't any shortcut, but I do think... So, Tim and Adam, students of his, and really understand, as much as anyone can, where Ted's going and how to decipher a lot of the notes. So one thing Adam was saying today, he was telling us about how he would do chord charts, and there are certain things in chord charts. It's like, it's like if you didn't know, you have no way of knowing 3 square boxes and one with a,
So a way in.
So a way in.
Yeah, I
think that would be
makes
valuable.
sense.
I'd buy that for $1.
That was that Porky's?
I'd buy that for $1. That's RoboCop. I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, okay.
The SUX 3000.
I've approached various friends over the years, going, "Can you help me learn how to play the guitar?" And the answer comes back, "Yeah, sure, but you've got to do the work." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that."
40 Watt Podcast says, I've read a book on astrophysics. It's easier than Ted Green's chord chemistry. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, as you just saw when I was playing those bends earlier, I said, "Oh, what's that note on the B string?" You can't, if you don't even know that, you can't go anywhere. You have to know the neck, and you have to know the notes, and you have to know where to put your feet if you want to walk, right? Actually, that's a terrible analogy. You can just walk. You don't need to know where you're putting your feet. But yeah, there's no easy way. I believe there's no easy way.
No. Look. Okay. So I saw this wonderful demonstration of it was actually a Horion Gracie demonstration, and he's teaching his black belts how to teach his students.
This is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but it applies to anything.
Same
applies to
thing.
anything.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, and he had all these obstacles and people stood in the way, and one of his students was blindfolded, and he says, I want you to guide him through without touching anyone. So, and the guys go, okay, left, forward, and they had all these black belts there, and they're being as encouraging as they can and it's taking a long time. And then at the end, Horace says, very good. He gets up, he grabs the guy's hand, and he just walks straight through. Having someone to show you, to guide you, there's real benefit in that.
Yeah.
And I think they'll just, Tim, Adam, get on it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's start a campaign to make that a thing. Daniel Thornton. Hi, Daniel. Daniel says, D&M, how would you describe each other's playing? What are you particularly impressed by? Also, new 1x12 Princeton to pair with AC15.
Oh, 1x12 Princeton.
Yeah.
That's the puppy right there.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. How would I describe Daniel's playing? I would say Daniel's playing is adventurous, always harmonically searching, and interesting. And when Dan plays on its own, it can be totally captivating and engulfing in the way he puts textures. But what he's particularly good at doing is doing that in a band. And that's where it comes together for me, is supporting the song and getting the right sounds, or getting sounds that really work in the band mix, that are complementary to what everyone else is doing. And that, that's what you want in a band, really. But yeah, and I think Dan has put so much work into his playing over the last few years, and the trajectory has been remarkable.
Oh,
to hear the harmonic interest unfolding.
Thank you.
In your playing.
Lovely. So I would say Mick has that thing that cannot be learned. I would put Mick on a stage with anyone. As far as him being able to speak with a note and a groove and a feel, I'd put Mick on stage with anyone.
Oh, bless you, mate.
Yeah.
That's kind of you.
Sure, and I've said that for years.
It's very hard to be backslapping to each other quite so much, but I think we both have a fairly high level of respect for each other's playing, but we also have some context for that, because Dan and I are in this very bizarre situation of hanging around the world's best guitar players most of the time, and it's quite
humble.
It's quite a humbling experience to do that, but it does give you something to reach for as well.
Yeah.
And if you look at it the right way, it's a constant inspiration rather than going home feeling crushed, which both of us have done a couple times.
Oh yeah,
I think,
of course.
But the biggest crush I had, and not in that way, but the most crushed I've ever felt after filming was Ed O'Brien.
Yeah,
a full existential,
proper.
I'm going to give up playing, and I literally went for weeks I went into a depression. I was like, I'm done. This is it. I've wasted the last 25 years of my life on this thing, completely getting it wrong. And then
I remember it well. And Ed, bless him, was
very kind,
so generous, and was like, let's, we'll talk through it.
And it wasn't to do with anything Ed played.
Yeah.
It was to do with his vision as an artist.
Yeah.
And his fearlessness.
Yeah.
And the way that making music was more important than any of the rest of it. Yeah. And to finish the story, I eventually took the kicking and made it an inspiration, and decided from that moment on it would be about music, and semi successful in that. And I remember Ed, and I remember the inspiration that gave. So just to put that in context, we could sit here and praise each other's playing all day, but actually what it's about is about application and about musicianship and about doing something, do something.
Yeah. And we're still inspired by it, and being around people who are still inspired by it. Some of you know, I spent a bit of time with Robin Ford recently, and everything is music, everything.
I'm laughing at your comment, David Burke.
And he any opportunity to play some music, to jam, and he still practices.
Yeah. Every
day he wants to play. And it's like, this is all I want is to have that attitude. Oh, man, being in a rehearsal room with him and his band, actually, he hands me a guitar and says, come on, jam with us, right? Crazy thing. We'll get into that later. But being in a rehearsal room with him, Ian Thomas, one of the best drummers I've ever heard.
Yeah, Ian's great.
And Johnny on keys, and just like just watching Robin do his thing. It's like just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it's just we're very, very lucky boys to be able to do that. And you feel it. And they're all doing it for the same reason. They just love it.
Yeah.
They just love it. And it's like, yeah, this is the best thing ever.
Dan was having a conversation with some people this week who shall remain nameless, of fairly high level, reputationally speaking, and he phones me and he says, it's exactly the same conversations me and you have and the ones we have on experience days. It's just the same conversations. And there's something very inspiring about that, isn't there?
Yeah, it's really lovely. It's really lovely.
LC Vol 73. LC. Oh, no. Sorry. Thomas Gellner. Thomas, sorry to overlook you there. Thomas says, I'm turning 50 today. Happy birthday,
Oh,
mate.
happy birthday.
Me too, mate. It's a milestone of sorts.
Yeah, certainly is.
Welcome to Sniper's Alley,
Yeah.
Thomas.
Oh.
He says, I'm trying to become a better singer.
Yeah,
Could you-
brilliant.
Could you ask some of your guests about singing? I have no pedal question, but it's about music, and that's what I like about this community. Dan and I both sing. We've always sung. And we will happily ask about singing guests when we have them. The advice we'll give you right now is start. Just start
Yeah.
and sing. And sing all the time and sing whenever you can. And it's going to hurt for a minute because you won't sound great. You might sound great, but likelihood is you won't sound fantastic. You'll be a bit pitchy. You'll lose your breath. All of that stuff that singers go through. And the point of doing all of that is to get over the nerves and get over the red light fever. Just get over it. Just get over it. Then I would suggest doing a course. And there's loads and loads of online courses you can do. The one I did was called, can't even remember, but it was by a lady called Jo something or other, and we serial...
Lane? While Mick's looking for that, I will say, when you've decided that you want to sing...
Jo Thompson, sorry, Jo Thompson.
When you've decided that you want to sing, the courses and everything are great. Even if you have 1 or 2 lessons with a singing teacher,
Yeah,
so they can teach you how to breathe.
yeah. And some of the courses will guide you through some of that.
Yeah.
The one I did was called Find Your Voice, a self-help manual for singers. You can get it in book form. It used to come with a CD back when CDs were a thing. Now it probably comes with a download, I don't know. And I used to play it in my car, and it'll take you through all kinds of exercises for breathing. And the breathing goes side by side with yoga, with all kinds of...
Yeah.
It helps you sleep better. It's a very wholesome thing to do. But do the work, just the same as if you want to play the guitar, you need to learn the mechanics of playing the guitar. So you need to learn the mechanics of your voice and your diaphragm, how to breathe, how to not strain and hurt yourself. And you will be amazed if you stick to that and you do...
It's incredible.
A sustained period of practice and performance.
Mm-hmm.
In a year's time, you'll be a half-decent singer.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Do the
because
work, you'll get there.
That muscle, it's all about that muscle and strengthening the diaphragm and that stuff. But yeah, it's truly wonderful.
And to make it fun, Thomas, one thing I would really suggest, if you have any friends who want to sing as well, start singing some harmonies together. Even if there's just 2 of you, it is one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do to get 2 voices singing very basic harmony together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard. In fact, it's really easy compared to playing the guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's child's play compared to playing the guitar. And the 2 things happen. One is the confidence you'll get to sing in front of people will skyrocket. 2, the sound you make together will be infinitely better than the sound either of you can make alone.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to go out and just sing a few songs. Simon and Garfunkel, Beatles, it doesn't matter what it is. People will connect with the vocal long before they connect with anything you're playing on the guitar. So Dan and I, both very passionate singers, both love singing. It is a wonderful thing to do spiritually, mentally, and
It's the most personal
for the
instrument
music.
you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch the We Are the World documentary?
it's on my to-watch list.
Oh, dude, I really wasn't interested in watching it, and I put it on. It is amazing. and they go through the whole making of We Are the World, right? And the writing of the song, and Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson. Anyway, they've got one night to record with the biggest artists in the world to get this song done.
We Are the World is the follow-up to Do They Know It's Christmas,
Yeah.
American version, right?
Yeah, it's the American version.
Yeah.
And it was the night of the American Music Awards when all the big stars are in town. And they get them all in. And while they're at the American Music Awards, Michael Jackson's at the studio and he's just making sure that everything's set up. And he goes in and does his vocal for the first We Are the World, right? And they play his isolated vocal from that. It is the most perfect, in tune, beautiful vocal you've ever heard. And the engineer who was being being
Bruce
interviewed,
Sweeney?
I don't
Can
know.
you remember? Guy with the big moustache?
No.
Oh.
He was being interviewed at the time, and he goes, "I'd never worked with Michael before."
No.
And he said, and then I just heard this angel coming out of the monitors. He couldn't believe it. It's astonishing. And then everyone piles in, right? And they're the best at that time.
Yeah.
They were just amazing. And everyone's doing their thing, and they're all incredible, right? Huey Lewis has someone didn't turn up, and they said, "Huey, you're going to do this thing," and he says, "Right," and he nails it.
He's a hell of a singer.
Oh, he's incredible.
Yeah.
And then he had to do this 3-part harmony thing with him, Cyndi Lauper, and Cyndi steps up and she just unleashes, and she blew my mind.
She's amazing.
She is properly amazing.
Always
Her
loved Cyndi
range
Lauper.
is just crazy.
Yeah.
But Smokey Robinson doing this thing, I mean, it was, I found it so inspiring that I couldn't sleep last night. And at the end, it was so beautiful, right? At the end, Diana Ross was the last person to leave, and she had tears in her eyes, just saying, "I don't want it to end."
Oh, wow.
You know, it's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Elias Blum says, Heartbreak Hotel is a great tune to start with. Check out This Is Spinal Tap for more guidance. If you haven't seen Spinal Tap, they're stood around Elvis's grave trying to harmonise Heartbreak Hotel.
Well, since my baby left me. Same key, I think.
Dwell.
It's more raga.
No, that's raga.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Sunder says, will I have much phase problems when splitting my signal into a Hiwatt DR103 and a Yamaha rotary? Well,
The whole purpose of the rotary is phase problems.
yeah. So no, it'll be totally fine. It depends what you're splitting from, what else is in the chain. But no, the whole, as he just said, the whole point of a rotating speaker is a phaser, basically. Well, make of that what you will, but it creates phase relationships, constant phase relationships. So no, I wouldn't think so. Not too bad. Unless the other side is a digital amp and you've got latency, but by that time you're probably so soupy anyway. Funnily enough, for years I've ran a Neo Instruments mini vent as my rotary speaker and just could never get the damn thing in phase. Just couldn't get it in phase. And then eventually took it off my board because I just couldn't make it work. And then I learned about digital latency. I was like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So it's a shame because I love that pedal.
Yeah.
But I think anyway, yeah. So yes, no, if you run another analog amp and you're running your Hiwatt into your rotary, everything is fine.
Jamie Brown says, what about the Bob Dylan bit? Yeah, they did it was all in there and how they got that to happen. Bob Dylan couldn't find his note, and then Stevie Wonder sends out, "Hey, Bob, let me give you a hand." And Stevie Wonder starts playing and starts mimicking Bob Dylan to help him find the note. And apparently, he can sound like anyone. It's just, watch it. It's amazing. Waylon Jennings walked out.
Did he?
Yeah. he sang. So they got them all in a room and they sang the first part. We are the word, the chorus, and then they're trying to do some other bits, and who was it? I just talked about piano player Stevie Wonder, come up with a Swahili line. Well, Jennings went, "No good old boy ever sang Swahili," and walked out.
What?
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You see the footage of him just getting off the thing and just walking out of the room.
That doesn't go very well.
No.
LC Vol 73. LC Vol 73 says, "Hello, fellas. Would love to see a video of you all going through the pedals you all were involved with, like the D&M drive, the jam pedals, etc. Also, haven't seen much of the Tone King Imperial Mark II. Do you still like it?" Yeah, it would be good to get that stuff back together. There are a couple of things going to be happening this year, pedal-wise, so maybe that would be an opportunity to revisit past glories.
Yeah.
Present glories, should I say.
Present glories.
Do we still like the Tone King Imperial? I really, really love that amp, but I think it's broken. We plugged it in, didn't we? And it had some sort of weird noise coming out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a few things here that are broken that no one's got the time to fix. So that might be something we need to get into. But yeah, it's got a fault of some description. I don't know what it is. Probably a tube. It's always a tube. But yeah, I like that amp a great deal.
Yeah.
In fact. Chris Quinn. I think you could get Jimmy Page on the show. This is a barbed, rolling comment. This from Chris.
Okay.
He says, "I think you could get Jimmy Page on the show. His stock has gone down over the years. He used to be talked about much more in the 70s and 80s. Number one.
This is finally down to a level.
So he's crap enough to come on that pedal show, is what you're saying."
Man.
It would be great, wouldn't it be great? It would be great. If he's still up for it, if he's still passionate, if he can still play. And I appreciate all those things sound accusatory, and I don't mean them to. But yeah, if he's still up for it and he still loves it and he would ever do it, of course we'd welcome him with open arms. But I can't see him doing it.
No.
To be honest.
Just don't talk about Robbie Williams' swimming pool and we'll be fine.
What could you possibly ask Jimmy Page after all these years? Because if you say, "How did you get the sound on Heartbreaker?" he's just going to get up and walk out, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it'd still be cool with the footage of Jimmy Page getting up and walking out, and I said it'd still be cool.
We could put that on Top Twat and get 28 bazillion views. Maybe have enough to keep the lights on for another 2 months, Dan.
I would love to ask him about his early session career, because there's so much stuff he played on. Big Jim, Little Jim.
Mm.
I think there's some stuff there. I'd love to find out what he would love to talk about.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's quite a lot of myths, aren't there, and things that have been taken as truth. That Led Zepp experts out there will have solved many moons ago, but we're not all Led Zeppelin experts, and therefore.
I did an interview with Andy Summers that you set up for me years ago.
Yeah.
And the last question I asked him was, "Is there anything that you want to set the record straight on?" And he went, "Thank you." He said,
"I'm not Andy Summers."
"I'm not Andy Summers. I'm Andy Winters. You got me all wrong." No, he said that, but everyone thought I couldn't play it solo. He said, but everything was so punk at the time, so all the stuff that I did was about that energy. He said, but I was playing jazz and I could certainly play a solo. And you listen to a lot of the stuff that's so melodic and melodically led. It's like, obviously he could do that, but he was trying to invoke that energy. But I think giving an artist a chance to say, ask the questions that you'd like to know, but also finding out what they'd love to talk about and what, things about that people may have misconstrued and give them an opportunity to talk about it. I think it'd be great. So yes.
Well, we know he's an avid fan of VCQ. So
yeah,
Jimmy, if you're watching, please come down. He's got a new. David Burke has pointed out he's got a new collaboration with Gibson.
The double neck.
Yeah.
Seen the price of it?
No.
Pretty out there.
Is it? More than 10? Oh wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, more than 10 quid for a flipping guitar you can't even get in the boot of the car. Yeah. Dwayne Jessom says, "What I would ask why he wasn't at the Clapton tribute for Jeff Beck." I wouldn't assume that. I wouldn't assume it's because he doesn't want to be there, Dwayne. I wouldn't look into that. It was an interesting selection of artists that it would have been about who was available, who's mates with who has a beef with who doesn't, what the management companies were. That's what that would have been about. It wouldn't have been I've got massive respect for Jeff Beck, therefore I will play at the gig. It wouldn't have been about that, I don't think. Otherwise there'd have been 5,000 guitar players on stage. Really?
Yep.
50k? 50k? I suppose it's 25k
or
a neck.
48. 25 per neck, it's a bargain.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting, isn't it?
Buzz Crumhunger says, which member of the Police gave Rick Beato your favourite interview? Has to be Stuart Copeland. So I have
there's so
individually...
much I want to say, but I don't want to say. I could listen to Stuart Copeland all day, every day.
Yeah. I've met all members of the Police, right? When I was a crew on a 65-foot yacht in Sydney Harbour, and we took Sting and his band sailing. So I spent the day with Sting on a yacht, which was awesome. He was so cool. And then interviewed Andy. And then when we were at NAMM, and it was I think it was Tama, and Andy Timmons was playing with Simon Phillips, and Stuart Copeland was MDing, and
he's great.
Sat there. I'm sort of stood there waiting for Andy and Simon to come on, and then this really tall dude starts chatting to me. It's Stuart Copeland, and he was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was wet your pants funny.
Yeah.
I was just chatting. It was like, dude, it was just
great love for
so
him.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, really, really beautiful guy.
I have to shockingly admit that I haven't watched any of those interviews.
Right.
But I will watch the Stuart Copeland one for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And moving on. Hello from Mississippi, says 40 Watt Podcast. No question, just a thank you for being awesome.
Oh, bless you, mate. Thank you.
Feel free to use this to snag a questioning from the live chat. Let us do that. Question. Come on. Let's have a question. Evrim Kusu, and Evrim, I'm apologetic if I have said your name incorrectly. He says, question for Mick. Is it worth replacing the V Mod 2 pickups on an American Professional 2 with Seymour Duncan Antiquity Texas Hot? And Seymour Duncan Antiquity Texas Hot is part of the pickup set I used to have in blue. And at the time I really liked them. They had a bit more grunt, a bit more mid-range than the standard pickups, which were then the 5762 American vintage pickups that were standard fit in guitars of that period. And so they just sounded like they had a bit more grunt, and were more pleasing to my ears. What I found over the years is that I started to like them less. They had a noticeable high-end roll-off, which I didn't like so much. And they just sounded a bit less stratty. But I think it then comes down to what does the guitar sound like in the first place. So depending on the hardware and all the rest of it and what finishes on the guitar, it might be that the guitar has a certain voice. And sometimes a darker pickup set can work really well to just rein that all in a bit. Similarly, you might have a guitar that's a little bit dull sounding for a bunch of reasons and maybe that doesn't resonate in the higher frequencies in the same way. And a brighter pickup set could be a better fit for that guitar. So what I would do is listen to the guitar and decide which way you want to go with it. To say arbitrarily that this pickup set is better than that pickup set, I've spent years messing about with pickups to kind of learn nothing really.
Yeah.
Other than some pickups work in some guitars and some pickups work less. I would say, I don't know what the V mods are. Are they a noise cancelling pickup maybe, the V mods? They might be.
No clue.
I think they probably are, but I don't know. And it might be some different kind of magnet like samarium cobalt or something. Let me have a look. Let me have a look and make sure I'm not talking complete and utter testicles. Oh no, it's an Alnico 2/3. Doesn't say anything about noise cancelling. Oh, they are. No. Oh, come on, help me. Okay, developed by Tim Shaw, which is a good shout, good start.
No, not noise cancelling. They're just a more modern, true single coil, says David Burke.
Yeah, man, I would not change those pickups. So they're like a split magnet.
Right.
Some of them are... So the neck pickup is Alnico 2. Alnico 2 tends to sound a bit softer, a bit more compressed, a bit more classic stratty, you might say. Robbie McIntosh, massive fan of Alnico 2 pickups. Mid-range, the mid pickup has Alnico 2 for bass and Alnico 5 for the treble. So you get the nice spongy different response. Incidentally, my Ron Ellis 5060 set has a split magnet set.
Then they're awesome.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't swap those pickups. Just looking at the spec, which is hard to do, just looking at the spec, I personally wouldn't swap them. If Tim Shaw has designed them, they've got that spec, I'm going to guess they sound super stratty. But yeah, maybe if you feel like you're lacking something, just make sure the heights are set to a height that works for you. You can wind that bridge pickup more than you think. But do keep the neck one a bit lower because you will get the pull.
Yeah.
But then again, Alnico 2 maybe not as strong. Sorry, I can't be more help.
Yeah.
It's such a crapshoot with pickups.
Such a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Paul Matulovic, he says, had another one under my hat, but can't recall. Let's hear it for the people. I talk too much as it is, and happy birthday, Mick.
Yay.
Thanks, Paul. So here's another one from the... Here's another one.
There we go.
From the
Plon
list.
through Dumble. Question for Mick. What do you think of the two Rock clean amps, traditional clean and silver sterling signature, and using pedals for drive?
Okay, what do I think of the two Rock clean amps, the traditional clean and the silver sterling signature? I've only played a traditional clean a little bit, and I didn't love it, I've got to say. But that might be because I didn't get to spend long enough with it. It just sounded a bit flat to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think that's its job, loud and clean. Because I like all amps to have a bit of give, right? But Ariel Posen plays one, sounds amazing. Loads of other people play them, they sound amazing. The one I have spent some time with is the Silver Sterling Signature. And that is an astonishing amplifier. Absolutely bonkers amp.
They know how to do bonkers amps.
Yeah.
The guys at Two Rock.
The one I had some time with was a 100-watt one, not a 150.
I love that they're making a 150-watt amp. I bet you there's a wait list for them as well.
Well, Stevie's was a 150.
Right.
Because it's inspired by the Dunbar Steel String Singer, right?
Sure.
But our friend Jake Loosemore has one. I think he sold it. And that was astonishing amp. That's the only Two Rock I've played that I would probably choose over my CRS. If I was choosing from scratch.
Wow.
Maybe, I don't know. Because the CRS does some other things that I love. It's astonishing. And that's how I use my CRS. I use it predominantly clean or on the edge and with drive pedals.
Did any Dumbles have reverb in them?
Must have done, but I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I'm assuming the Steel String Singer did.
Okay.
It was the Overdrive Specials that didn't.
Yeah, that's the one. I know one of them doesn't.
Yeah, so I don't know, but it's all very personal, all of this, because if I could only have one,
there could be only one,
then it would definitely be a CRS or a Steel String Singer, or maybe the Vintage Deluxe.
Would definitely be one of three.
But it would be a non-overdrive one.
Right.
It wouldn't be a TS1, even though the TS1 is flipping magic. Because I've grown up using overdrive pedals for 60 to 70% of the overdrive.
Right.
Because what happens, there's this great debate, isn't there, between amp overdrive or pedal overdrive. It's like, no. What happens is you get the amp on the edge, and then when you hit it with the pedal, it starts overdriving as well. It's a blend of the two things.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of a perfectly clean amp and only pedal overdrive is not something that I don't love that. Never have loved that.
No.
But you can't tell how much the amp is overdriving because the pedal's on.
Yeah.
But you know that it is because it's on the edge.
Yeah.
And that harmonic interplay, I think, is where the magic is.
It's very interesting when you get an amp like a high watt that's working, which will give you the best overdriven tones, but then stick a single coil, a compressor, and a bit of tape delay, and it gives you the best clean tones as well. How an amplifier that is essentially limiting still has enough. It sounds silly to say it's limiting, but still has headroom. But there's something about the amps like that. When that high watt is working, it still can just do the best cleans.
Yeah.
You know, that thing's the same. The Wallace.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, oh man, it's so interesting.
Bloomfield Drive. Todd Roy is reminding us of the Bloomfield Drive. That's kind of somewhere between the CRS and the TS1 with reverb.
Yeah.
Fantastic all-rounder. Really great. Joe used one of those for years.
Right.
Yeah, it's so tough. It's so tough. Because they make so many amps that are kind of similar, and it might be that one just really speaks to you.
Yeah.
Less so for the ultimate resultant sound, and just as much for how it feels to play. And those are the things that are virtually impossible to tie down.
I'd have the TS1.
Yeah.
Still best gain sound I've ever had. It's that amp.
There you go. It does sound amazing. Chris Smith. Hi, Chris. Chris says leg ends. More Two Rock questions. He says, pretend your TS1 will never move and you want to use the effects loop when the amp is dirty. What would you put in there? An outboard spring reverb unit, a spring reverb pedal, or other delay, reverb and wobbly pedals? Yeah, this is, again, how I've used the TS1 and in the last couple of things we've done. Overdrive pedals in the front, and then
Shenanigans.
effects send to Harmonious Monk, a delay pedal and a reverb.
Did the Harmonious Monk work in the loop?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because they increased the headroom on it.
But enough for a line level.
Yeah, most amps effects loops aren't line level anymore, and that plus it's got a variable send and return, buffered send and return.
Okay.
Actual line level, yeah, don't know, but there's not very few amps have got actual line level these days.
Okay.
I think Matchless might be a different case in point, which is like
The
above
Matchless,
line level.
Yeah, the Matchless, the Lazy J, just all kicking up massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
But no, it works great in the loop. But Dan is right to say that, for example, an analog delay just would die. My analog delay would die, like the ARDX20 or the Bell Epoch Deluxe might be all right. Oh, because it's digital. Carbon Copy would probably die. Just doesn't want to see an effects loop really just get too crunchy, I think. Although maybe there's people out there doing it. So the delay I ran was the Free the Tone Flight Time. No, Free the Tone Future Factory. And
That's such a good sounding delay.
I ran the Polyverbs, but also the CXM.
With the dog bark?
Hmm?
With the dog bark?
Yeah. Boss RV 200. Any kind of modern multifunction pedal is going to work that way. And I really like that sound. As long as it doesn't come back into the TS1. I want it to go off to another amp.
Yeah.
At that point. But I'm sure it would sound good coming back into the TS1. I just want the TS1 dry.
Yeah.
Just want it doing the overdrive.
Yeah.
And then another amp can take the preamp signal and do the wet stuff.
That's the rig you need for these upcoming gigs. Proper wet, dry, wet through the Zilla, dry through the 2-Rock, and have it like that.
Dan is pointing at there is. I'll just.
Gotta do it.
I'll move.
Gotta do it.
I'll move the camera.
Okay, check this out. So this is the rig I want Mick to use, right? So using the TS1 up the top as the dry amp, send into the Mesa Boogie stereo power amp with the wet effects, and then stereo into the oversized Dumble inspired Zilla 4x12. Oh, come on. We've got to do that.
I was thinking potentially about taking the 412.
Right.
Just because stage width is really compromised. So with three of us on stage, with three of us on stage, I can't have 2 amps width.
Yeah.
Now that's almost 2 amps width.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe that on the Mesa Upright 212.
I'm going 1.5 amps width.
Are you?
I'm going Matchless into a 1x12. So 1x12 on the floor.
Yeah.
J20 on top of that. Matchless on the side next to it. Just basically what I did for the last bunch of gigs, and it sounds so big.
Yeah. For the last Andy Timmons gigs, I used preamps.
Your tone was so epic.
And the Mesa 5050, I didn't use the 2-Rock, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I want to use the 2-Rock on these ones. Yeah. Just same with the TS1, just to come back to the question, the lack of reverb is like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I just spring reverb is a sound that I love so dearly. I don't want to be without it.
It would be the amps and all amps.
That's the Bloomfield drive, really. It's that with reverb.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not quite as dumbly.
Okay.
So I've heard, but
putting a spring reverb in an amplifier,
it changes everything.
It does. It does. It does. You're exactly right.
Anyway, sorry. Everyone's turned off, going, please stop talking about 2-Rock. Lefty O bass. High D, M, K, H, and R, and B, and V. Well, H has left the building. Hades has gone to pastures new.
Okay. Some sad.
Have an E minor or something more adventurous.
That's quite ominous, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's all right.
Hang on, a bit of. Hang on.
Oh, intrigue. What's he doing?
That's it. What's he doing?
What's he building in there? He has subscriptions to those magazines. And who knew what Mr. Stitches saw? There's a swing on the front lawn. He has a consulting business in Indonesia. But what's he building in there? Hayden, who actually most of you probably don't know because Hayden was never this side of the camera and we didn't talk about him that much. Hayden's been with us for maybe 2 or 3 years and started helping us out in the store and then helped with editing and filming. And Hayden was kind of, like a lot of us do, just getting our lives together, deciding in which direction it's going to go. And I like it. And he put up his mainsail, the wind caught, and he's out on the ocean.
Yep.
He's
no one's seen him for days.
He's got a proper job, and we wish Hayden all the best in his life. So yeah, now we're just deciding whether we can handle it ourselves or not. And the answer already seems to be no. So yeah, we wish Hayden all the best. He's been a massive asset here. You guys probably didn't know him because he wasn't really front of camera, but yeah, a solid dude, and we wish Hayden all the best. So anyway, after February's glorious trouser trembling experience day, says Lefty O'Base, I've had to get a Cali Tweed 440 to run with my AC15.
There you go.
I'm assuming the headroomy tweed wet or match via attenuation for both at edge of breakup. Thoughts? Well, oh yeah, I remember we got the Cali Tweed out, didn't we? And you loved it. It depends how loud you've got it, and it depends how because headroom's only an issue if the amp's overdriving, right? And if it's overdriving in the front end but not necessarily in the power section, that's fine. You can turn the front end overdrive down unless you want a really overdriven sound, and the other amp won't do that. So yeah, either it depends how loud you're playing. If you're playing really loud, attenuation can help. If you're playing more quietly, overdrive pedals can help just to make the other amp a bit more gainy. But yeah, start with the Cali Tweed wet. And the good news is, once you've set a sound up, it's really easy just to swap the leads over. Just to swap the amps over wet dry, and you get an instant, you don't have to do anything else, just literally the 2 leads that are going to the amps, just swap them over. And then you can just listen and decide which one you like the best. But if you're running at sensible volume and neither amp is completely overdriving, the headroom mismatch shouldn't be too much of an issue, I don't think, with those 2 amps. Yeah. If you can define this one's overdriving more than that one, then the solution will be obvious. Get that one overdriving more via attenuation or via a pedal. Get that one overdriving less by turning the gain down. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Well
done, Clubberp says, hi, tip for a pedal to open up my Laney VC15. I'm looking for a boosted tube breakup sound, but it needs to be brighter than what it is now. A BD2 blues driver, maybe.
Can I just say that I think the Laney VC15 is a killer amplifier.
2A EL84 15 watt single 12-inch speaker.
EZ34 rectifier valve.
There's tube rectifier as well. How different
From
is
memory,
it to an AC15?
Surprisingly different.
Yeah.
It's a really, really cool sounding thing. Yeah, really great amplifiers. I think a lot of the they did some 50 watt amps years ago that were just wonderful. And we still have that. There we go. The old supergroup.
Paul Stacey's 1969 Laney supergroup, which is really mega.
Just awesome. They did some really great things.
Boosted tube breakup sound, but needs to be brighter than what it is now. BD2 maybe. Yeah, that could work. Hudson Broadcast would work.
Yeah.
Hudson pedals are still remarkably affordable for the workmanship involved.
Yeah.
So I would say look at Hudson Broadcast. because you get that nice transistory. Is more ampy than something. A BD2, in my opinion, always sounds like an overdrive pedal. Cool though it is. Broadcast might be nice. What else would be cool? You could try a treble booster, like a key analog man Beano boost. Because the nice thing about that is it has the 3-position mid-range switch.
Yeah.
A straight up Rangemaster might sound a bit ugly to you because it cuts so much bass, but with the analog man Beano boost you can add the bass back in basically, or at least not take it away in the first place. And again, very ampy treble boost. Yes, they're a misnomer in a way because actually they tend to boost quite a lot of upper mid range, but I think that would work. Do you think?
Yeah. The great thing about that as well is the cleanup on the volume control with a Beano full range. That, yeah, I mean, I've always loved that. I think I'm going to get one back on the board.
Yeah.
It's the one sound I'm sort of missing. But you know what I'm also thinking about? An envelope filter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a couple of sounds.
So you can do all your John Mayer songs.
Exactly.
Somebody said, not at John Mayer tonight. Here's the truth about John Mayer tonight and Madison Cunningham. Dan and I could have gone and done a meet and greet with Maddie. But
are they not playing tomorrow night as well?
they are. But we couldn't go tomorrow night.
Oh no, because there's other things going on tomorrow night where they couldn't do the meet and greet.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And we were unable to go for various reasons. Is what it is. It is what it is. That's it. What I would have loved to have seen that show because they're both playing solo. No band. In the O2. How cool is that?
Okay.
I'd have loved that.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Sorry, how did we get there? Oh yeah, because you want an envelope filter to do your I Can't Trust Myself with Loving You cover.
Exactly. Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And for the next song, I'm going to play that again.
No, I'd just like to, anyway.
Clap up. Hopefully that was a satisfactory answer. Check out a treble booster, but one where you can put the mid-range back in. But if you're jonesing for a BD2, go for it.
Yeah. I will also say, if you can get them, JHS had a big sale on last week where they sold their OD,
like the OD250.
The OD250. They were selling them for $69.
Wow.
And they must have sold. They sold out. If you can find one of those, the reason I say it, because what you're saying is you want it to be bright. Because there's no tone control. That thing's wide open. And I think one of those might serve you well as well. Worth a look.
Yeah. Good luck. Final suggestion. And the thing that I've been searching my brain for, the Crazy Tube Circuit Superconductor.
Ah.
And I'm going to put this at the top of the list. It's an extremely versatile boost pedal that enables you to do all kinds of boost. And if the LC15 is already overdriving and there's not a huge amount of headroom, I think a full-on overdrive pedal might just sound too compressed for you. So what the superconductor will give you is access to a load of really, really nice treble boost sounds alongside a whole bunch of other boosters. And it's super versatile, and I think you would enjoy that greatly.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Selen. Hi, Selen.
Hey, Selen.
What are your thoughts on the Neumann TLM 102 for an electric guitar cab? I think I remember you used that one in the past. Yes, I'll try not to talk for too long about this. We bought the TLM 102s because we went to Matt Schofield tracking session once. And
any reason to bring up Matt Schofield?
Matt uses his amps insanely loud, and there's a lot of mics that won't take that SPL.
Yep.
or they will take it but they'll colour or whatever, and they had found that the 102 works great on super loud guitar amps. TLM 102, for those of you who don't know, I'll just show you one. I had one just a minute ago because we mic'd up the acoustic guitar with one earlier.
Yeah, really, really beautiful mic. And what was really interesting about that session was being in the room with Matt doing his thing and just hearing how loud it was, then going into the control room and it sounded just like it. It was brilliant.
Classic looking Neumann. It's their baby large diaphragm condenser, cardioid pattern. The 103 is bigger, and it's just a great all-rounder for all kinds of things. And
Would you use it for vocals?
I use it for everything.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be Neumanns in the catalogue that would be far superior for vocals because it's their, it's 600 quid or something. It's their cheap mic.
Okay.
But we really like them, and I like them a great deal. A word of warning. It's so easy to go down a rabbit hole of this, that, and the other, and the other.
Yep.
Honestly, here's the thing. If you're doing recording and you can't have loads of microphones and you need one to kind of do everything, definitely get a large diaphragm capacitor mic.
Right.
Because you can sing into it, you can mic an acoustic guitar with it, you can stick it on a guitar amp, you can do whatever you want with it. If all you've got is an SM57, you are constrained to the sound of the SM57, which might be exactly what you want, and they've been used for everything over the years. I'm not trying to deride the SM57.
I think Jacob Collier did his first album with just an SM57.
There's plenty of vocalists who love the 57. There's plenty of drums that get mic'd with 57s. This is not not deriding the SM57. What I'm saying is that's going to give you a truer sound of the source.
Yeah.
If you stick it on an acoustic guitar, a saxophone, whatever, it's the most transparent sounding thing. 57 is the sound. However, if you have got a bit of cash and you can afford a couple of mics, the next thing to add is an SM57 or equivalent. Because using that on guitar cabs is just a total no-brainer. They're easy to use. They can take a wide range of gain, assuming that you're not going to be hammering. And you can hammer them. You can really whack it up. Don't worry about getting into esoteric mics and expensive stuff, because they are all choices. And we've learned this in a big way in recent months as we're slowly upgrading our studio from basic audio interface mics, few plugins, to serious mics, bonkers front end analog gear, and a better interface. Now what I can hear is everything, and now I've got a whole new bunch of problems. So the mics that we've been using for years, I can now hear the stuff I don't like about them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I can now hear that position and EQ is absolutely critical now, where it was just kind of important before. So be careful what you wish for, tread carefully, and sometimes having less stuff and having to be more creative with it is far, far better than having all this posh stuff and spending ages trying to make it sound good.
Yep.
But that depends where you are in your recording journey and how much cash you've got. TLM 102 is an all-rounder, yes. The only thing I would say about it is it doesn't do a figure eight. So if you do anything at all that needs a figure eight pattern, it won't do that. It's just a cardioid pattern. Yeah.
Cardioid.
Yeah. But I could talk about microphones for weeks.
That's nice, though.
All to come back to the same place of, at the end of the day, it's all a sonic decision, and you don't know what that sonic decision is until you've recorded it 100 times and listened to it back.
Yep.
In loads of different situations. And then you go, actually, today I'm going to use that mic on this cab because I know it's going to work.
Yeah. And
the only way you ever learn that is by getting it wrong, which is so boring. and I, if this is the journey, I'm there. Just out the start gate, which is also frustrating. and fascinating. Yeah. Daniel Langst, or Langst, has superchied, but we have no question. He says, oh, message above, message above, message above, not above. So I'll see if I can find it somewhere, Daniel.
Okay.
And I'm sorry we've missed you.
Okay. An augmented chord, just for that.
Why is it augmented?
Well, basically, you've got your 1 and you've got your major 3rd, but the 5th is up a semitone, so it's all augmented.
What do you call a 5th that's up a
An augmented.
semitone?
Augmented.
Is it a sharp 5th?
No, an augmented 5th.
Is it a flat 6th?
No, it depends on the chord, but the idea is your diminished chord, right?
Yes.
Which repeats every minor 3rd,
Yep.
right? Your augmented chord repeats every major 3rd.
Well,
So you got 1 to the major 3rd to major 3rd to major 3rd.
I'm sure when you get it right, and as it does to Dan, it makes perfect sense. But why is a 5th that's raised the semitone, why does that have to have a different word than sharp 5?
Okay, but what? Call it sharp 5. Doesn't matter.
Because in another chord it will be a 7, sharp 7.
Yeah.
And anyone that knows music theory will be yelling things at the screen now. But that's one of the reasons I find it so impenetrable. It's like, oh, but if it's this, it's this.
Yeah. It's like a perfect 5th, a perfect 4th. They're just words.
What's so perfect about them, Dan?
They're harmonically, they're so close.
Daniel, I can't seem to find your... I can't seem to find your question, so apologies, Daniel. Maybe we can dig it out of somewhere else. Yeah.
I told you about my experience. I went to see a comedian, and Hell's Bells was this walk-on music, but it started off really slow. We're sat right at the front, and you hear that, and then the kick drum comes in. It is the best sounding kick drum, like at volume through those big speakers. Boom! And I was like, oh, it just got me right in the chest. It hurt my ribs. Yeah, it was so good.
Yes, okay. Clonner Dumble says sharp flat versus flat 6, sharp 5 versus flat 6. Same note, but it depends on what key you're in.
Nice.
That I can understand.
Depends on what.
I get that some notes are sharp and some are flat. I do understand that, but maybe not in this example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thomas Eichinger. Hi, Thomas. Thomas says, for my wet dry rig, I need some recommendations for a budget delay pedal which does not flip phase. Thank you, awesome legends. Boss DD3.
Just go to DD3. Thank us later. Just go to DD3.
Done. I tell you what, I was really impressed with the Boss Fender Hammertone series.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure that if they flip phase or they don't flip phase, but they... This one, the space delay,
It's so good.
I would totally use that. We had it on a show. I think it's really cost effective. Has modulation, has multiple heads, really nice tone, and I thought that was really brilliant. And I'm going to suggest that it doesn't flip polarity, but I don't know that for certain. We really like that. What other cost-effective delays? The only reason I wouldn't suggest the DD3 is there's no tone control on it.
Yeah.
The other one that's excellent, absolutely excellent, is the JHS 1 series. Maybe we gave it away. Anyway, it looks like this, but it's the delay. It has a pre-delay, I think. No, that's the reverb. It's got a dark sound and a bright sound.
Yeah.
So it can sound analog or digital. Super simple control set. And knowing Josh, it won't flip the polarity. But again, don't know for certain. But really liked the JHS 1 series delay.
Yeah.
If it's still available.
Yep.
There we go. Hope that helps. Paul Matunovich. Have you heard that Menatone has a none more black pedal?
Brilliant.
Menatone, that was the red snapper, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killer.
The aforementioned Matt Schofield used to use that, didn't he?
Yeah. And my dear friend Mark Johns, so he played guitar with Ray Davies for many years, and that was his solo tone pedal, and it is killer.
Nice.
Killer.
Daniel Langston, again, sorry if we've missed your question, mate. We'll try and put that right next time, but I can't see a question here anywhere. Wadey, 1960 CS. Wadey, 1960 CS. Hello. Not sure if you guys can hear me or not, but I have this Greer Amps Soul Thrust screaming in here. Cheers, M&D. Hope your birthday was a blessed one, Mick. It certainly was. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm glad you're enjoying that. William Young. Think I better leave right now. We're falling in pieces. He says
I went out one night in, where were we? We were at the Clapham Art Centre. Some art. We were at the end of a big night out and ended up down there. And Will was just sat by himself at the bar having a drink.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You should have gone up to him and gone,
I did.
I think you better leave right now.
I went up and gave him a wedgie. No, just he was just sat there and like everyone goes, it's all young, it's all young, it's all young. I think he got a bit sick of it. They just sat there.
That was like Neville and I were sat in Lottie's bar, the now mythical Lottie's bar in Frome. We sat down, waiting for the band to come on, having a meal, and there is Kiefer Sutherland. And I'm like, Nev, that's Kiefer Sutherland. He's like, who? I was like, Kiefer Sutherland. Donald Sutherland's son. 24. And he's like, oh my God. And it totally was. Here's Bebbers.
Sorry, coming through.
Everything okay?
Yeah, all good. Just need to use the facilities.
Oh, do we have any housekeeping?
Bit late for that.
Yeah.
So, William, sorry, finally to your question. Thank you for your amazing generosity, along with everyone else who's super chatted tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We really appreciate it.
It does genuinely help. Thank you.
Yep.
He says, it would be a dream to attend a TPS day, but is there an expected playing level? Even if I was close to feeling enough,
Come on.
I'm not sure my personality would allow it.
Come on,
P.S.
darling.
Huge thanks to Dan for
Come
being
on.
even kinder and warmer than I could hope when meeting him at the guitar show.
Oh, bless you, mate.
William, one of the things that I think there's plenty of people in this chat.
Come on.
There's plenty of people in this chat who've been to an experience day, and I hope all of them will tell you the same thing. First off, there is no expected playing level.
No. If you don't want to play, you don't even have to.
Most people do.
Most people do. You should play.
And there can be some reluctance when someone thrusts a guitar in your hand and says, what do you think of that? And at that point, you've got 20 seconds to decide, do I play or do I not play? And the answer always has to be I will play. And it doesn't matter what you play. We've had close to complete novices at Experience Days who's playing, either they've just started or their journey is near the beginning. Maybe they can only play 2 or 3 things. And in those cases, sometimes people have prepared something to play because they're nervous, like you say. But that I really hope that dissipates almost immediately, because there's no judgment, there's none of that. It's not about that. It's about the collective enjoyment of sound. And normally what happens is, or what often happens is, if we're in here playing loud, it's me doing the tweaking, and I'll listen to what you're playing and I'll get a feel for what you're doing, and I will tweak something to make it work.
Yeah.
And more often than not, even if you have a very limited playing vocabulary, you can still attain a kind of state of flow and of being in a sound and being taken by the sound. And we've watched that happen many times, with many tears in many eyes, I might add,
Yeah.
of people who consider themselves not good players, or at the beginning of their journey, and yet finding a way to do something musical and creative that other people can enjoy. And Dan and I are deeply passionate about that, because there have been other people that come in here and play a million notes and play great, and we all love it, and we love that just as much. But seeing someone who is not confident and is just starting off, I've seen people walk out of here metaphorically a foot taller,
Yeah.
having done it. And
Yeah.
that's the environment we want to curate. So don't be scared.
Yeah.
Please don't be scared. We appreciate tickets are scarce and they're hard to get, but please, nobody be scared about that. There's no judgment. We're all friends, and all we want is to sound good. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wonderful.
Yeah. I will go to my grave feeling that way about playing the guitar, because I hate that snobby bullshit when people look down on other people because they can't play
Oh
well.
my goodness.
It's arrogance of the highest order, and it is a deep insecurity on the part of the person who has that view.
Yeah.
Because the only thing you should ever do is encourage, no matter what level. Dan and I have been the recipient of that, of a lot of people, where clearly, we flipping spend our time around giants of guitar playing, and they're never anything less than encouraging.
Absolutely.
So we try and pay that forwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that's a manifesto enough for you.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. The great passion of mine is helping people feel connected. It's when we go on about this stuff, it's about drawing something out of you, being connected. That it's more. What happens? It becomes more than the sum of the parts. And when you experience that, it's life changing. It gives meaning and purpose, and it's super powerful. I mean, it literally changed my life. It gave me direction as a kid, and man, I'd shudder to think where I'd be now if I hadn't had that thing, that experience of, and having people along the way that were just like, good on you, mate, and try this out, and it's great. It's what the community's about, because we're all better for it. No one's worse off for being encouraged. It all makes us better.
Reminds me of being in the guitarist offices, and there was one member of staff that would often break into song with an acoustic guitar.
Right.
And I remember our old production editor, Paul Robson, putting his head up one day, and he said, name of person, you know that saying, the whole world is a stage, all the world is a stage? Well, it's not. Good. Okay, everyone, thanks for being with us. Friday, Sunday, you're desperate to know you don't need an ABY pedal to split the signal into a DR103 and a Yamaha rotary. Right, I'm confused. Does the Yamaha rotary have an amplifier attached to it? If it does, and you've got your DR103 on one cabinet, and you've got the rotary on another, if it has its own amplifier, you will need to split the signal somewhere to go to both of those things. If your high watt DR103 is running a cabinet and a separate passive cabinet without an amplifier in it, no, you don't need a splitter. So my apologies for not fully understanding what the configuration of those two pieces of equipment is. If the Yamaha rotary speaker has an amplifier in it, yes, you need a splitter, but it doesn't necessarily need to be an ABY splitter. It could just be a splitter, and that's all explained in the video. But if it doesn't have an amplifier in it, you just come out of the speaker output of the DR103, no splitter required there.
No splitter required.
Hope that explains it.
That's a Phil Collins album, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty sure.
Studio.
Let's leave the final word. This Friday's show is about compressors. There's an exciting new compressor coming out on Thursday, and it is on the show on Friday alongside some other brilliant compressors.
We were supposed to be never knowingly first, Michael.
Yes. Well, we won't be first, that's for sure.
Okay.
Asking the question, Dynacomp and Boss CS3, how far have we come? We'll leave the final word to 40 Watt Podcast, who says, you know what you call someone who plays guitar for a living? A guitarist. You know what you call someone who is an utter beginner on guitar?
Beginnerist?
A guitarist.
Okay.
We're all the same.
We are all the same.
The same but different,
that's
Daniel.
very nice.
The same but different.
That's very nice.
I'm the same as Eric Johnson. But different. As Dan plays out, Rosie is going to provide random percussion by way of chewing. If you were some avant-garde jazz artist, you'd put this out as a record. Preludes to dog chewing in A minor. See you Friday. See you next week. Thank you.